Broadcasting.
Oh, you know what I meant to do? I was gonna put the weather slide in.
Let me guess, hot in LA?
I forgot to put the weather slide in.
Never mind, there's always next time.
I know. So, 6:30 UK time.
11 attendees. 11 attendees in the room.
So, 6:30 UK, 10:30 hot Los Angeles. And I think we're going to wait 5 minutes. So we're going to actually start our presentation in 5 minutes. If you've joined us, welcome. You are joining the first webinar of the Amazon seller. And this could be fantastic or it could be a complete disaster. But
we shall find out soon.
Exactly. We'll do our best. And as we go through, throw your questions and comments into the chat box, message thing, whatever it's called. And then we'll cut to Richard every now and then and get some words of wisdom from him. He's since disappeared, I think. He's muted himself. But so we're going to start in about 4 minutes. And we're going to run through our presentation. From time to time, whenever we feel like a bit of a break, we'll cut to Richard and get some questions and take them as we go through. We're going to try to time box this to less than 2 hours. This is recorded live and will be available on YouTube later. So if for any reason you have to duck out, make yourself a cup of tea, or if you want to go over any words of wisdom that will come from me, not so much from Danny or Richard. But the Welsh Wizard is back. So we'll do the introductions in a moment, but let's do them again anyway. Richard, who's trying to throw himself off his chair. Do you want to say hello, Richard?
Hello everybody, welcome to the webinar.
Dashing in his headset. Lost his tie, put on his headset.
Thank you very much.
Can we see Daniel from the chair?
Not at the moment. We shall reveal later.
Okay. Daniel's got an electric chair contraption in his room. I think he saw it on some swingers site that he was joining. He's modified it to be an office chair, but I think with a power surge it still vibrates from time to time.
And the reason why I have this chair because dealing with you is like torture, so I have to prepare myself.
Well, I hope you haven't peaked there, Danny. Anyway, so we're going to start in a couple of minutes' time. For those of you that have joined us already, we are the Amazon seller. We started our journey a bit over a year ago in a grotty old pub in Hammersmith with a beautiful view of the River Thames on a balmy evening in London. So we've been doing physical meetups where Danny and I shoot the breeze on various things to do with Amazon. I do the funny stuff and Danny calls me Dad. So if you hear references to that as we go through, then basically what happened was I was hanging some shit on Danny, and he surfaced with his now famous line and started calling me Dad, which stuck. So I call him Son, and we haven't had the DNA test results back yet for the Welsh Wizard, and so we're not quite sure how he's related to us or any
Tom Jones, of course.
Or any farmyard animals, perhaps. So we've been doing these meetups with a pint and a pizza in London. I'm based in Los Angeles, hot LA as it's known, and we've set up a physical meetup here. We haven't stretched to a pizza yet, but we have a pint as we do it. We found ourselves a British pub over here. Or British-esque pub, serving some fantastic American beer. The beer in America is just wrong on so many levels. It's about the strength of wine, but the taste of a beautiful, beautiful ale, and it's just wrong. Anyway, we're going to start the presentation in exactly 1 minute. we've got a lot of you in the room at the moment, so we know that we're talking to hopefully real people. Hopefully there's some comments coming out. Richard, any hellos from anybody on the side there?
We've got loads of hellos coming in. Who have we got? Sodi's there, Thomas, Olga, Nathan, Asa from LA, California. Also Furman. Hi, Ivory Broom from Los Angeles. We've got a hi from Vienna as well.
Can you do me a favour, actually, just quickly, Richard? Can you ask the group, if you don't mind, their thoughts on Anthony and if he looks like Healy out of Orange is the New Black? So if everyone wants to hit a 1 in their chat box to confirm that, I think that he's been separated from Healy at birth, which is not a bad income to supplement off of Amazon, is to work as a part-time actor, especially being based in LA.
It's good to see that Danny is using all of his material early on. We'll get that out of the way. Now, what was the other thing I was going to tell you? So what we're going to try to do with this webinar is we're going to try to keep it as punch the air free as possible. So for anybody that's been to any other webinar and they're asked for, give me a 3 if you're standing on your left leg and it's windy where you are, or give me a 7 if you like potato chips. We're not going to do any of that sort of stuff. We're not even going to ask you any questions that are just really silly, because I hate that stuff. It really, really bugs me and bothers me. But if you have questions, if we're talking about something, if there's something you don't like or don't agree with, throw it up on the board. Richard's going to grab it. Don't get frustrated if you don't get a response immediately. We will grab it, and then Richard will filter the questions for the end of each slide or each couple of slides. Any abuse directed towards me obviously will be filtered out. Any abuse towards Danny, we will share it with you.
Yeah.
He's just finishing his shower at the moment, so he's got the slides up. So look, it's 6 minutes past the half hour. It's 10:36 in hot Los Angeles. It's 6:30 in cold grey London, England, wherever you are. Welcome, and let's put up the slides, please, from Daniel.
Here he comes. Hey.
There's a little bit delay there. Are you going to do something, Anthony?
Let's just take it back to the first slide, please. Okay, so basically what we're talking about today is love your customer. We're going to do a little bit of an introduction, and we're going to tell you a couple of other things that we've got coming up. So what we've done with this first webinar, and this is the very first one we've done lots of presentations to people in the room. I'm encouraged that Sodi's here. There was a rumour going around that he only turned up because there was free pizza. So I'm happy that he's joined us. Maybe he's done a dial-in at home, and so welcome, Sodi. He's one of the first people I chatted to about Amazon on my journey when he came to our meetup when we started in London. And so welcome, and welcome to anybody else that I can't see the list of attendees, so I don't know if my mum has joined us posthumously from some bar in the sky. But welcome, and it's still showing me Richard, so I don't know whether Richard's forced the slide onto the screen or not. Have you done that, sir?
There's you.
Oh, okay, maybe I just need to click a button. So, okay, so we're here to talk about customer. What we're going to be doing over these webinars is we're going to have a topic, and the topic may be a topic that we've originated, it may be a topic that someone's brought to us. We're going to have a couple of sponsors from time to time that will either present, we'll throw them on the couch, we'll interview them, we'll ask some tough questions, we'll poll you first in terms of what questions you want answered. We've made the first one sponsor free so that we don't have any hassles and we don't have another person to cut to and so on and so forth. So let's kick into the presentation. We're talking about customer. Now, when we did this presentation in London, it was one of the slowest ones to get signed up for. And what's interesting about it is everybody's fixated with Amazon about sourcing the right product. Everyone's fixated about how to ship it from China to London or LA or wherever you're selling it, and how to list it and how to get it photographed and all those sort of things. And by the time you've got the product live and you start selling, you're just so relieved that you've got through that part of the journey, and you're celebrating the very first sale. You're celebrating the very first positive review you get, and so on and so forth. And then,
Anthony,
yeah,
get on with it.
yes, sir. And so, and the part we miss is the customer, and we'll come on to that in just a second. Danny's given me another slide. I don't know why, but anyway, let's take it. So, just a brief introduction. Our London meetup is a bit over 1,300 members. About 100 or so turn up to our physical meetups. We've got just over 300 in Los Angeles. And our meetups are sponsored, so that pays for the bar and pizza and so on and so forth. We're a bit over 2,100 members in our Facebook group, where between our meetups, between our webinars, we carry on the conversation. So if Danny can give me a customer slide. Oh, we're doing the news. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is a low budget webinar. Danny does these slides.
Yes, you can tell, can't you, by the what was it you called it? 1970s.
1970s clip art.
Clip art.
Clip art.
Yeah. We're going to bring it back. We're bringing clip art back.
It is fantastic, Danny. I think that's some of your best work. He hand drew that slide, and let's throw it over to Richard and quickly grab the first news story.
Richard?
Okay, so the first story that we've got is all about Walmart has decided that it needs to do more in the online space as Amazon's eating all the pie, and they bought rival Jet.com for $3.3 billion.
So where do you want to take this from here, Anthony? Should we kind of discuss what the benefits are as an Amazon seller, or what kind of effects that Jet and Walmart will play in terms of the competition towards Amazon?
I think, I mean, this story's a week or two old, so
yeah, it's been developing though. I've been reading more new information on it, and the story started to develop a little bit more from the initial run.
That's very good. And what were the pictures like in the stories, Danny?
The pictures in the stories are really good. I couldn't read all the text, so I thought I'd maybe send them over to you to have a look at, but I didn't get a chance to because I was too busy building the website.
Fantastic. So let's take a look at Amazon, Walmart buying Jet and competing with Amazon. I mean, Jet is notoriously hard to get into, lots of admin, and it's only available for American-based businesses at the moment. But the fact that Walmart are stumping up $3.3 billion for a startup for about a year ago is a ridiculous amount of money, and it shows us clearly that Walmart have been ignoring the Amazon play for so long, trying to do their own thing. The largest retailer in the world, with Amazon, I think the 5th largest retailer in the world as an online play. Walmart are now probably too late in the game, taking Amazon very seriously. The great thing for Amazon sellers is it's going to eventually give us another platform, which in theory should keep Amazon honest. It should keep Amazon hungry for our business, hungry to keep us there, keep us trading, and so on and so forth. Because at some point, Jet are going to get excited and start reaching out to us and asking us to jump onto their platform. And I think what we're seeing is the Amazon seller of today will be the online retailer of tomorrow. So what we're going to have is we're going to have our product sourcing and identification and shipping, and then we're going to be putting that out to many different warehouses, many different platforms, if not facilitated via Amazon. And so I think the mindset's going to change, and in a year's time, our group may have to change from the Amazon seller to the online seller or something bland like that, because we're going to be talking across platform. So I think it's an exciting move. I think they've overpaid. Apparently all of Walmart's online shopping is going into Jet, and Jet's still going to be run as an autonomous business. Yeah, I think it's an exciting move. I think we need to keep watching it. Nothing's going to happen for us, in the next couple of months, but a developing story, and I think it can only be positive.
So you think this is going to be a two-horse race at some point? Because at the moment there isn't any competition really, is there? I mean, even down to eBay and people like that, it just doesn't cut it.
I think what we're going to see is just the same as we saw bricks and mortar supermarkets on the high street, and then in shopping malls. I think we're going to see 3 or 4 or 5 online players.
Yeah.
And developing over the next 5 to 10 years.
I think one of the advantages that say Jet has is that the CEO of Jet used to work with Amazon because he sold diapers.com, so he understands the infrastructure, and he's gone the same route as Bezos in terms of they're not profitable. They invest everything back into the business. So he's obviously used some of the early structure that Jeff has used for the Amazon business. So it'd be interesting to see how it plays out. But I definitely think they did overpay. They bought pretty much infrastructure, but whereas with the value going to be at this stage, we don't know. They need to work hard on executing.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on. Richard, what have you got for us next?
So the next story that we've got is talking about Prime Air. The headline is this science fiction or is this real? And it's talking about Amazon taking 40 cargo planes, 767 jumbos, and using them to expand their infrastructure. Dan?
And when we chatted about this in the week, the clarification I wanted was, is this for sellers or is this internal to Amazon? In other words,
at this stage, from my understanding, it is purely for Amazon for their network, for their facility centres. At this stage, it's not a third-party play for us sellers to use at this point. So I think what they're doing, they're leasing these 40 planes, and they're just expanding on their logistics chain. Eventually, they'll probably have their own fleet and then start to tuck out the costs as they do over a period of time. But at the moment, I think it's just for Prime Air is just for Amazon's internal use only.
Fabulous. So I can't get my latest shipment booked out on a Prime plane to.
No, it's not. You know, like we're starting to see Amazon go down a few avenues now. You've got, I think, one's called Prime Flex, where you've got crowdsourced delivery services. You're looking at the shipping option that Amazon's trying to do end-to-end from China into Amazon, which are trying to increase and help there. And obviously, at the long term, once it gets approved, is the drones for the delivery. But I think at the moment this is just a business move by Amazon internally, and they're always testing anyway, so this might fall out of bed in a few months' time and they'll change tact and go on to something else.
Excellent.
There's another part to the Prime Air element though, isn't there? They're looking at the use of drones for that last mile.
Right, yeah, no,
they're
that's
doing quite a lot of testing around that, and they've got it in the UK at the moment.
But they've got to get approval, haven't they? I mean, they can test all they like.
Yeah, so last month in the UK government, the regulator, gave them approval to do their testing beyond the line of sight, so they can do it up to 15 miles.
Oh, right,
currently.
Okay, that's interesting.
And that was a story that came out last month from UK Gov, so they are definitely making inroads into it.
Excellent.
We've got a question here. Jet, is it only available for US-based sellers, or did you mean that it is only operates or sells to US customers? Jet.com, it's only US?
I think my understanding is it's yes to both. It's only for US sellers, and I think it only sells within the US.
Okay.
And if anybody knows anything different to that, throw it up on the side, and we'll throw it around. But I think it's certainly in terms of being a seller on Jet, you have to be a US business for the moment.
Wags would like to see them. Wags would like to see them how they deliver around Heathrow with the drones.
This is Prime Air.
Yes.
I think they're going to use Prime Bike at some point. They're going to have a little guy on a bicycle. Anyway, let's move on because
I think you'd look great on a bicycle, actually.
In his cycling shorts. Nice.
In his cycling shorts, that'd be a nice look, wouldn't it? The vegan on his bike.
Have to be orange though for Amazon.
All right, so we're now going to talk about customer.
Right, can we just put a poll up quickly, just to ask the audience if you wouldn't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just load it up, so if people can answer that, if they go to the polls tab, they'll see it in there, and if they could give us a feel for that as you're going through the slides. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Over to you, Anthony.
Okay, so we're now going to talk about customer. Let's take the next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so what I started to talk about earlier was how important the customer is for you, and when you actually stand back from it all, we all realise why the customer is so important. But when we're part of our Amazon journey, we've been so busy with sourcing and shipping and listings and just understanding how the Amazon system works that we're exhausted by the time we actually get some paying customers. And if we're not exhausted, we go out and celebrate, and then we're exhausted and hungover at the same time. So we want to focus on the customer because the customer is actually the one that pays for us to be successful. And without the customer, without people buying our products, Amazon is just an expensive storage unit. It's actually a fairly cheap storage unit in real terms, because their monthly storage fees are fairly cheap, and you can throw your goods in there and get 100 of them out for about 60 quid or $60 or $50 when you need them. But you know, it's essentially, without a customer throwing a serious amount of cash at us, we're not in business. And I think the other thing to bear in mind is I often sit in front of my Amazon screens and I feel like I'm playing a computer game. Change the price, change the listing, do a bit of this, import some more, create another SKU, etc. And it feels like a computer game, but there's actually real people out there spending their real hard-earned cash, just the same as when we shop online. And they're actually really shopping with you. And I think when you start out, there's actually people sitting in some strange room, finding your product, realizing they want a back scratcher, some cream that they can squirt on the top of their head that's going to make them taller, some weird product that Danny's launched, and they're actually buying this stuff and they're spending their hard-earned cash and they're really shopping with you. And I've seen so many posts on Facebook where sellers don't take their customers seriously, and they're pissed off with the customer. They're really upset with the customer for leaving a bad review, for returning a product, for not believing the product is good enough. And we need to change that mindset, because unless we love our customer, we're dead. Here's a photo of Danny as a child. This was Danielle until he was 19. And he's recently become Danny, and he's quite camera shy. That's why he's not showing us what he looks like, because he's got the slides on his screen. Okay, so let's run through how your customer can interact with you. So pre-purchase and post-purchase, during the purchase, they have various ways to interact with you, and we're going to run through all of them and how you could respond, how you should respond to them, and how you can interact with them to be more successful as a seller and to offer your customer love. So first of all, they can send you a seller message at any time in the life cycle. They can be surfing and looking around at your product, send you a seller message at any time, even post-purchase, months post-purchase. They can send you a question. We'll go through some of those in a moment. They can raise a public product question. So they could be sitting there looking at your maracas, and there's a button there to raise a public question. And as the seller, you'll get sent that question, as will anybody else that has bought your maracas. And there's an opportunity for everybody to answer that question. And we'll look at how you can leverage that for success in a moment. Your customer can completely ignore you and contact Amazon. It's quite hard to contact Amazon because they kind of hide behind the buttons, but your customer also, or your potential customer, can also contact Amazon. And obviously your customer can buy your product or return your product. And there's a whole host of interactions that are available possible there. If you significantly let your customer down, if you don't respond to the right thing at the right time, they can also raise what is the most dangerous thing for them to do for us as sellers. They can raise a guarantee claim, and we'll cover those a little bit later as well. And then once they've purchased, they can leave you with a seller review and or a product review, and we'll cover off those consequences of them and how to deal with them in a moment. Okay, so let's talk about seller messages from customers. They can raise a pre-purchase query. They're looking at your product and they've got a question about it. They may have ordered your product, and often the case where the seller has paid extra. I've seen this a lot in the States. A seller's paid extra to get, following day delivery, so day plus one or even same day delivery in some instances, and the product doesn't arrive. And there's usually a reason why someone's ordered it to be an urgent delivery or same day, following day delivery. And usually the reason is in line with a birthday, an anniversary, oh dear, I've made a mistake, I need a gift. And when that product doesn't turn up, it's a huge consequence to them, because they're not just bored and going, let me spend an extra $10 or $20 to get this thing here tomorrow. So what happens when the product they're expecting to turn up on Wednesday doesn't turn up? It's just like their world has fallen apart, particularly in America, and they just start shooting people, And so what's happened on very many occasions to me is I'll get a seller message straight out of the blue, raising the problem with delivery. I've got absolutely nothing I can do about it, but I can placate them, and we'll come on to that in just a moment. Then they'll come to you with wrong delivery, timing of delivery, anything where they're struggling to get hold of Amazon. And this is a big problem in that it's harder to reach out to Amazon than it is to reach out to us. And when somebody becomes desperate, they'll press any button they can. Unfortunately, not the sales button and buy 10 more, but they'll press any button they can. You're going to get seller messages around returns. I've thrown the packaging away, I've thrown the box away, how do I return this product? You're going to get messages from sellers about damaged goods. If it's in the UK, you're going to get somebody writing to you saying, you know, my child has broken this. They threw it from the 12th floor, and the glass broke. How do I get a refund? And you're going to have to deal with those questions because relying on Amazon to deal with the questions gives them an opportunity to be more upset, because Amazon are going to deal with it in a very perfunctory, very straightforward manner. They're going to contact you regarding back in stock, and that's a nice positive, happy thing. You know, when is the blue X going to be back in stock? When is the grey Y going to be back in stock? And there's an opportunity to interact with them and really do some amazing things with them. Okay, so let's talk. Actually, go back to the previous slide if you can, please, Danny. Fantastic. Just checking he was awake. So when we're getting seller messages, you know, we've got such an opportunity to create a relationship with them and to help them. And I've had situations where, you know, a 2-star or 3-star product review has been left. I've jumped into a seller question, seller query, a message from a customer, and I've given them extraordinary customer service, and they've gone back in. And even though it's a product review, a review of the product, they actually go and they change the rating, star rating for the product review based on the customer service they've received. So they don't strictly see, you know, did this blue widget perform as it should? Is it value for money? All that sort of stuff. So, when you're getting these messages from customers, it's a fantastic opportunity, no matter where they're coming from. So it's a pre-purchase query. It's a private message between you and them. Always provide them with more information than they need. Use the salutation. Use proper sentences. Give them full information. If you've got any information you can cut and paste from your listing. If there's information in picture 2 of your listing, you know, all those sort of information you can pass through to them. If there's a problem with delivery, there's nothing you can do about it. But tell the customer that. So say to them, you know, we outsource our delivery to Amazon. Here are the contact details to contact Amazon. All I can see as the seller is your order. And from your order, it shows payment pending. And whilst you believe you've paid, Amazon don't believe that you've paid. And so if you contact them, there may be a problem with their purchasing system, their payment system, but you can clarify that with them and the delivery will go ahead. And apologise to them for the inconvenience. Sorry you're having trouble, so on and so forth. Even though it's probably the timing of that message is, you know, you're just about to have supper, you're just about to, you know, go out and run a couple of K, and it's never the right timing. But respond quickly, because that's what the customer wants. The customer's there desperate, trying to reach out and get answers. When we're looking at damaged goods returns, once again, the customer's always right. Always give the customer the view that you're there for them, you want to understand their problem, ask them for photographs, maybe it's an education problem in terms of how the product should be used. If they want to return the product, once again, you can't do that, but you can placate them, you can direct them to Amazon, you can tell them you're sorry that they had such a bad experience, and so on and so forth. Back in stock queries, just to finish up, we love those because it's somebody wants to buy a blue one and you've only got a grey one in stock. So I'm sure they know that you've got a grey one in stock, but they really want a blue one. Tell them when you're going to be back in stock. Thank them for supporting your brand. Thank them for being interested in it. But point out to them that it is in stock in blue. You know, use the opportunity to build a relationship with them. Be really nice with them. They'll come back to you. It's a relationship. I've taken some of these seller messages and converted the relationship with the customer into them being a product reviewer. Which is enjoying.
I think Danny was your.
What have you got for us, Richard?
I was going to say, you're killing one here. You sure this slide, yeah? Have we covered it? Or do you want to cover any more points on this slide?
Well, I'd like to. There's a couple of points I'd like to.
No, we'll move on. Just move on.
I'm waiting for Danny to move on. He's just holding me on this slide forever.
Come on.
So
get on with it.
Questions that customers got. Now these are customer public product questions. Now you may or may not have had them, but when you're looking at a listing, there's a button say ask a question. You can look at the community, look at the forum, and even though there's a question, does it squeak? You'll still have 5 customers asking that same question. That question gets posted out to you as the seller by way of email, and anybody else that's ever bought your product. Now, obviously, you know, in the case of Danny, it goes out to his 5 customers. It doesn't get sent out to all of my 50,000 customers. It gets sent out to maybe 500 or 200 or 20.
You're living in dreamland. Living in
Say
dreamland. 50,000 customers. I know how many sales that you do. Don't lie to me.
I haven't checked my numbers today. It's probably gone up. You may have made 6 now. So the customer product question, it's posted on your listing, and it's another way for you to use this as a marketing opportunity. So typically they're going to say, can it do this? Does it do that? Will it do this? Has it done that? Should I? What size? What color? What strength? What weight? All of that information is probably in your listing or in your images. There's two aspects here. First of all, any customer question that gets asked, stand back from your listing and look to see whether it's a failing or a shortcoming of your listing. Is it what is the size of this box? Now you may have that in an image, but it may be image number 4. You may want to consider moving that image to be number 2, because from experience that gets seen much more than the image 4. People don't necessarily look through all the images. It may be contained in the midway through the text of bullet 3. Move it to the midway through the text or the start of the text for bullet 2 or even bullet 1. So whenever you get a customer product question, stand back from your listing. Where is that information in my listing? Why did the customer have the opportunity to ask that question? How can I change my listing? When you answer the question, always use it as a marketing opportunity, because your answer is coming up as the seller and it's public. And the typical one is, and it's sometimes even asked by competitors, where is this product made? Now, one of your competitors may have a product that's proudly made in the USA or in the UK. And people will say, where is this made? And it's a genuine question. You've got to treat it as a genuine question. And what I always do is I say, you know, designed and tested in the UK. Manufactured under license in China. And what you're doing is you're answering the question, but you're just wrapping a little bit of marketing and a little bit of context around the product. You haven't just gone to AliExpress and said, I'll have 20 of those, throw them up there and see what happens. So you're putting in context, you're making out that you are a business that has designed this from the UK or the US, wherever you are. Now, here's what's interesting about this, and I'm not going to let Danny move me on because there's some really key stuff here. So you're answering the question. What you will see before you answer the question, if you've missed it by 10 minutes or an hour, other people have already answered. Look at those answers before you answer, because it may change how you answer or what you answer. I had the situation 2 days ago where I got asked a question. I looked at the other people that had answered, and 2 people had answered positively the question, but they'd added that they love the product. And I reached out to both of them, because you can message them privately. I reached out to both of them and I thanked them for answering the question. I thanked them for, you know, sharing their information and their experience with the person who asked the question. And I said, look, it seems like you're having a great experience with the product. Would you be prepared to write a product review? Within 2 hours, each of those customers had written a 5-star product review on my product. And at that instance, my last review had been a 1-star review, and I'm like, how do I get something to sit above the 5-star review so the first thing people see is something positive? So it's the greatest thing that I've never seen written about or spoken about, is when there's a product question, look at the other responses, look for the positive questions, positive answers, start a relationship with them. You can flip that into a 5-star review. The other thing to bear in mind is product question answers can be voted up or down. I've got a guy who's just climbing all over my listings, and whenever, you know, I think he had a bad experience with one of my products. I've tried to reach out with him and fix it. whenever someone writes a product question, he writes an answer saying, "It broke on me." And you can vote that up or you can vote that down. And what Amazon will do is Amazon will present one answer for each question, and then you can click into the other answers. So if the bad answers are voted down, then they're buried and no one gets to see them. And the other great thing about customer product questions, to just wrap up, and then we'll flip it over to Richard.
No, tell me more. I'm really excited.
I'm going to tell you more. I'm going to tell you more.
Tell you more.
So the other great thing about product questions is when someone comes to your listing, yes, it's as constructive criticism. Every single question is a failing of your listing because the customers had to ask that question, and you've looked to improve that. But what you're doing is you're using the listing by way of customer questions to get more information onto your listing. And so a product that's got 9 customer questions, 20 customer questions is a good product. I saw a Facebook post the other day where some guy had followed every manual and every book and every webinar and podcast possible. And he announced to this Facebook group that he loaded up a product and he got some people in another country to write and to answer 200 questions. Sorry, to ask 200 questions that he prepared. And then he proudly told everybody that he was too busy to answer the questions, and he had all these questions, and he thought that was going to make his listing amazing. So it can go out of control, but just as you get your buddy to give you a review for your product, having purchased it, get your buddy to ask a product question. And a positive product question, it gives you an opportunity to give a positive answer, and it highlights a piece of information outside the rest of your listing. Richard, what do you have for us there?
There's a question. Nick is asking, can you as the seller vote down an answer, or can only other customers vote up or down?
I think strictly speaking, somewhere buried in the Amazon Terms of Service, you as the seller probably can't. You can't vote up or down your own answer, but there is a button there to vote up or vote down other people's answers. I've done it, and no, there's the Grim Reaper hasn't come my way with the Amazon stick. Danny, anything to add, or would you like me to talk to your next slide and your beautiful clip art?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to the opportunity where Danny shows his face. What slide are we gonna jump in and actually see?
We're looking at customer contacting Amazon at the moment.
Well, and when are we going to see your pretty little baby face?
All will be revealed later. When we get to Q&A.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough to keep people in the room, isn't it? So
yeah, that's what I was thinking. As I've got a face for radio, so.
We've covered quite a lot of this, and Danny's slowing us down a little bit now. So I'm gonna push on through this slide. As I said earlier, Amazon have got a horrible job to do. They've got thousands of people sitting on call centers, and Amazon are trying to automate as much of order, return, query as possible. So when the customer's really desperate, something hasn't turned up, something's broken, something's on fire, the last thing the customer needs is to be trying to click a load of buttons, try to find a phone number, can you send an email, all those sort of things. I just realised I haven't plugged my Mac in, so I'm gonna lose battery in just a moment. So, but that's fine. I'm sure Danny can carry on. So as we've covered before, frustrated customers. I'm just gonna. Can you spare me 1 second while I just get myself a little socket?
So while you're doing that, maybe
do you want to run a poll, as he's obviously not organised himself, turns up fashionably late, abuses everyone, and now he's got to go and plug in his computer. So let's run a second poll.
So the second poll, can we poll section and tell us how far down you are on your Amazon journey? If you pop over to the polls tab, you'll find there the question, and if you can give us your answer. Thanks very much.
Right, we're plugged in, so we've got at least 12, 15 hours of juice now. So when the customer contacts you, having been frustrated by not being able to find Amazon, get hold of Amazon, they're going to be frustrated. We've covered this before. Technically, Amazon are going to deal with absolutely everything, and there's great people out there saying, Amazon is this passive income. Throw it into the warehouse, forget about it, start smoking the cigars and celebrating. If you do that, you're going to have an increasingly lower and lower rating. So you've got to jump in and get involved with everything. You know, Amazon are going to handle refunds, they're going to handle non-delivery, they're going to handle complaints. But, you know, there's still plenty that can come your way. And the best way to deal with it is to take it positively. It's always going to come at the wrong time. There's always going to be too many of them. One of the tips I do is if I get a customer message where I know I've got to respond to them, it also comes up in my email inbox. I flag it in my email inbox to respond. But rather than miss the 24-hour metric, because if you don't respond to a seller message within 24 hours, it affects your performance metrics, there's a button where you can say no response required. So even if I know that I'm going to respond, I'll click the button to say no response required, because it's flagged in my inbox, and I might get to it on 26 hours or 28 hours. Usually I'm getting to it within 1-2 hours, but I'll flag that to make sure that it doesn't affect my metrics. And then you just reply to the email. And the fact that you flagged it, that it doesn't need a reply, it doesn't mean you can't reply. It just looks after your metrics. Okay. I think Danny has gone to hair and makeup.
Yeah, well, I've gone to hair and makeup. What can I do for you?
Maybe the next slide, if you could.
Oh, are you sure? Sorry, I didn't know. I was just holding on because I thought maybe you want to add another 10 more points on there. There you go. How's that?
That's beautiful. Okay, let's talk about customer product returns. And there's this slide should have been split into 3. So, but we'll pile through it as best we can. So, the scenario is customers purchased your product. For whatever reason, the customer wants to return your product. Mostly, unless a customer has messaged you to say it's broken, I don't like it, mostly, which is probably 99 times out of 100, maybe even 999 times out of 1,000, or as Danny would say, 999 times out of 100, Amazon will notify you of that return by email. And it will pop up. And you know what? When you first get that message, your world collapses. You've worked so hard to get this product. You know the product is good. You wouldn't be sitting in this webinar on your Wednesday evening. You wouldn't be pretending you're working in Los Angeles or wherever you are in the world. You know, pretending you're working, but actually with the phones on, listening to this webinar. If you weren't serious about putting good products into Amazon, your world falls apart when you get that seller refund email. Just as people sit there checking how many sales they've made every day, every 5 minutes, and you're just getting to some number that you've never achieved before, or someone's bought 2 of your thing or 5 of your thing, and then in pops that email, and your world falls apart when someone's like, $50 has been returned to John Smith in Texas, and your first instinct is to call in an airstrike because you've got the address of the customer and you just want it to go away, and then you want to know why it's happened. You know, what could possibly cause a return, and so on and so forth. And I've seen people go into complete meltdowns. They reach for every Facebook group, you know, even the you know, Southern Croydon House Swap Association Facebook gets a message, can anybody help me with this customer return? And this desperation sets in. And the first thing I could say to you is, at that point in time, just be calm. Ignore any feelings of anxiety, pain, problems. Don't phone the Samaritans. Just be calm. It's fine. Returns happen. Okay. Case in point, someone will buy a medium product from me. They'll get it. They'll love it. They'll realize it's the wrong size. They'll return it for a large. I get that email. It doesn't mean that you're about to go bust. It doesn't mean you're going to go out of business. It is intelligence that you need to learn from, because that return costs you money. Amazon charge you a fee to put it back on the shelf. And the customer's, you know, happy with your product. I mean, extraordinarily happy that they've gone through the return process and not just taking their money back. They want the next size. But sometimes it's just very nice, normal reasons why there's a return. So there's no reason to get upset, start a fight, you know, look for, you know, go to the gun safe, all those sort of things. Then you're going to start, when you find the returns report on Amazon, you're going to start hitting that report every day, every hour, every day, waiting for that product to come back in to see what's wrong with it. And here's the another amazing thing, is that returns report is not accurate, because what happens, the customer the customer, when they're doing a return on Amazon, they will click the reason button. And one reason gives them return postage to pay. Another reason gives them return postage to pay. And then they click on doesn't match the website description, and there's no return postage. They click on the product is really shit option, whatever that wording is within Amazon, and there's no return postage. So if you've got an opportunity to click a button to say, I don't quite like it, and pay $20 to get it back, or the product's really bad and get it back to Amazon for free, what are you going to click on as a customer? You're going to click on some stupid reason that gives you a free return. That stupid reason then appears on your returns report, and it's then alarming for you again, because you're like, no, it can't possibly be true. It's a brilliant product, and you know it's a brilliant product. We've sourced brilliant products. So once again, you need to find calm and peace. You need to light some incense, and you need to do some yoga, and you just need to be calm about it because the reason is not accurate. Okay? And to be honest, even if you contact the customer by way of message, by way of anything, pigeon post, visiting their house, phoning them, the customer's not necessarily going to be honest with you there either, because the customer's just clicked a button that saved them $20. For most people, they think they've probably stolen $20 by clicking that button. So then some big burly gruff guy like Danny phones them up and says, I see you've returned my product. Can you tell me why? They think it's the Amazon police. They're going to hang up on you. Okay? They're not going to talk to you, and they're not going to give you the real reason. Okay? So what you'll see in your Amazon report is it's going to have a status of returned with whatever reason. Amazon are going to inspect it, and depending on your product and product category, 9 times out of 10 Amazon's inspection is good. They inspect the product and they say it's good enough to return to sale. They put it on the shelf to sale, you pay a small fee, and that product has been returned, the customer's been refunded, but the product's back on the shelf. You haven't paid your Amazon sales fees, but you have paid your Amazon shipping fees and picking fees because they've done their work to get it to the customer, so you're going to pay some price for that. And you'll never know anything more about it. That is a product that went out, it came back, it went back on the shelf, and if you're selling it for $50, it's probably cost you $10 for that transaction to happen. But that's online business. You have people buying a medium and a large to see which one fits them better, and then returning the one that doesn't fit. So there's a much higher, I think I read something like a 40% higher return rate for online sales than there are for bricks and mortar retail sales. It's part of the business, okay? It's no reason to be anxious or upset. But sometimes the returns report will give you whatever reason for return, and it will give you customer damaged. It will give you defective. Now, I'm not quite sure why the person in Amazon assessing the product assesses it as defective or customer damaged. It's very subjective, but the bottom line is that with either of those statuses, the product can't be resold. And then it's marked as return to inventory, which scares a lot of people, but it's also marked as unable to be sold. So it doesn't mean it's sitting on the shelf and someone's going to sell a broken one. It means it's returned to inventory, meaning it's gone just back into the database, but it can't be sold. And then you've got an opportunity to get that return sent to you or destroyed. And I can't remember the exact numbers. Do you know the numbers in the UK, Danny, the cost for returns or destroy? He's having a cuppa.
Sorry, mate. I've just got back from the park. I took a look at how long this slide was. Sorry, what was the question again?
Do you know the fees? He's peaked. It's downhill for him.
Go on.
Do you know the fees for getting the product returned to you or destroyed?
I have no idea, to be honest.
I'm surprised about that because Danny does get a very, very high number of returns.
That's not true.
Someone in the chat
room,
is Mike.
Absolutely not true because I give my products to the customer as a gift, whereas I know you, being so tight as you are, you demand everything to come back with images and you abuse your customers, whereas with mine I show them lots of love.
Exactly. So Danny has the what's known as the panic return strategy, which is like keep it, don't tell anybody, and I'm so sorry, and let me send you a packet of sweeties. What I do is, and most of the time I don't even know the returns happened, but when it flags up that there are products that have been returned with a status that they're not able to be sold, I bring every single one of them back. Now, I'm based in hot Los Angeles.
Where?
Hot Los Angeles. Can we cut to the weather slide, Richard? So I'm, being based in hot Los Angeles, I physically get the products returned to my house. And a lot of these products are oversized, so I get into serious trouble with the wife. But I get the products returned to the house, and I examine every product. And some of the products Amazon have incorrectly assessed because I've got repackaging set on. So in theory, Amazon's supposed to look at it and say, can it be resold? Yes. Stick it back in a bag, stick a label on it, put it back for sale. So I had an instance where I had 10 products returned, and 8 of them were good enough to go back onto sale with just a fresh poly bag. And I raised a case with Amazon, and I said to them, look, you've cost me the fee, you've cost me the postage to get it back into you, and the courier to get it back into you. And as an oversized item, I got $25 for each one of those 10, each one of the 8 that I was sending back. So I got $200. Subsequently, it took me an hour to stick them back in bags, put them back in the boxes they came in, and it cost about $104, $105 with UPS. So I love returns because I make more money on returns than I do actually on selling the products. So it's a pain in the arse because you've got to open the boxes and track them all and all this sort of stuff. But then some of the other returns you learn from the products. Now, Danny hasn't got a product you can learn very much from, but in the product I'm thinking of. But with my product, there's so many things that can go wrong with it that it's good to learn. And so I can see a rip, a tear, this thing happening, that thing happening, and I can learn from it, and then I feed that back into the manufacturing process. Or I feed it back into the product listing. And I change the product listing because if I find that there's a certain type of customer that in buying the product and using it is causing it to be damaged or destroyed or whatever, then I can put warnings or caveats in there. And so what I do is I get the product back, anything can go back into Amazon, I put it back into Amazon, but I raise a case and I get paid out for it, which is a huge tip that you should be doing. If the product is damaged, if it's not usable for anything, I toss it. If it's usable, I find a charity and I give it to the charity. Okay. Now it may not be fit. I had some products where, and it was very cute. I had a 77-year-old woman in the UK contact me, and contact. No, I think it was one of Danny's old girlfriends.
You're tripping over your words. Just get on with it.
I had a 77-year-old woman contact me to say that the label on the product was upside down. And I thought, and I hate to be prejudiced, but I thought, you know what? She's probably had a gin too early in the day, and she's probably just got the product upside down and thinks the label's upside down. So I asked for some photographs. Then I get some returns in the States a couple of months later to find that the factory in China has actually put the labels on upside down. And she was telling the truth all the time. She's getting her daughter to send me photographs. Those products are perfectly usable, but the label's upside down. I pass them on to charity. What I do in the UK very briefly is because I'm not there, I have a charity set up as my returns address. So I get all of my returns sent to a charity. I've got no idea whether they're usable, resellable or not. So I send 10 returns to a charity. The deal I've got with the charity is they open the box. If they think the product's resellable, they take a photograph of the packing slip, they take a photograph of the box, photograph of the product, they send that to me. I send it to Amazon and claim compensation. Whatever they've got, they keep it. They take photographs of damaged products, they send it to me so I can learn from it. They keep it and they either use it directly for their charity or they put it into their fete or their bazaar or their Christmas thing, and then they sell it and they make money. And they've raised tons of cash. So, yes, you can go, well, I can't learn anything from my product, pay 50p or 50 cents or whatever it is to get it destroyed, but just get it returned, send it to a charity, direct it to a charity, do some good out of it, you feel great. and you form a fantastic relationship with the charity, they'll drop you a couple of product reviews as well, even though you're sending them shit. They'll give you a couple of product reviews because some of the stuff can be reused. Okay, I'm going to have a little pause there mid-slide. I'm going to cut to Richard and see if we've got anything from Richard.
We've got a good question that's come through from Janice. Janice says she makes and sells a food product, and food products cannot be returned. When she was selling FBA, money was refunded to customers, but she didn't know where to look to find the reason for the refund. Where would she look?
So under your reports tab, let me just quickly find it so I can tell you exactly what it is. And it may vary. Sometimes the user interface between American Amazon and UK Amazon is different. But if you go into Amazon Seller Central on reports, you will find fulfillment by Amazon as one of the drop-down menus. And when you click on fulfillment by Amazon, you'll be presented with, it's just logging in now, you'll be presented with a list of report options on the left-hand side. And there is a 3/4 of the way down the list, there's customer concessions. I'm in the UK side at the moment, it might be called something different in America. And there's customer concessions returns. And you can produce a returns report, and that will give you the reason. Now, as I said before, the reasons are often vague or they don't really add any value, but it does give you the order ID. So there is an opportunity via the order ID to write to the customer, and a lot of people do that. You'll get a fairly low response. Your response will be related to how good you write that email, how nice and happy and warm that email is, and that's an opportunity to learn from the product. And a lot of people say to me, you ask for photographs of things that are defective or custom. So if a customer contacts me with something that's broken, I'll ask them for some photographs, not because I don't trust them, but it's because I want to see what's gone wrong. There is a risk that they're going to go, well, I've taken the photographs now, I may as well add them to my 1-star review. But I think we can be too paranoid, and the conspiracy theorists can kick in too much there. So I think, Janice, that the best thing to do there is look into that report, you'll find the orders, and from that order you might see the customer may have ordered from you 10 times. And so you've got a customer that's maybe returned the 10th time they've ordered from you, but they've been very happy on the other 9 occasions. Absolutely write to that customer, because there may be something that has gone wrong with that particular one. You can send them another product, you can offer them some love, and if they've ordered from you 10 times, they're a candidate for asking them at some part of that relationship you formed with them for a customer review. Now, let me see if I can find the slide again. Okay, so let's quickly talk about return reconciliations.
Yay!
This is Danny's favourite part. Okay. This involves using a spreadsheet, so Danny doesn't do this. And so return reconciliations are as follows. Is Richard Piers Morgan's twin? That's Richard.
I do the questions. I do the questions.
So I've read the wall now. The wall is distracting. Yemi, there's lots of charities in the US. Just Google them. It depends on what you're selling. There's no point selling your shaving cream to a pet charity, although maybe there is. I don't know. But what was the question? What was I talking about?
I don't know. You
reconciliations.
We've been on this slide so long now. It's getting
You're an hour in.
But
You're an hour in.
3 slides.
Yeah.
We're fine. We're fine. So reconciliation. So what happens is you get that email from Amazon saying there's been a refund. Amazon take that money from you. You think there's been a refund. Amazon hasn't paid the customer. So the customer's got 30 days to return the product, longer at Christmas, but 30 days in normal business. And they've got 45 days from date of order to return the product to Amazon. Only when they return the product to Amazon do they get their refund. So when you get that email from Amazon saying John Smith has returned your product and they've been given a refund, that is not true. That email means that your seller account has been debited with the money that they gave you for the sale. So you have paid for the refund, but Amazon hasn't. Amazon waits for the customer to return the product. If the product is not returned, Amazon doesn't pay the customer, and they keep your money. Okay, so you need to do a returns reconciliation. There are one or two products out there that automate this for you, but you need to do a returns reconciliation. And there is a guy that's got some fancy spreadsheet that automates this, or you can do it manually, and it takes you like an hour to do. So what you need to do is you need to produce an orders report from the reporting tool, and you can see all the orders that have got a return status. You then need to produce a refunds report, and you need to reconcile the two together. So we'll post somewhere, one of the groups or Facebook or the specific reports you need. But what you need is you need a list of all of the orders that Amazon has refunded for returns, for reason of returns, and you need to match that off with a returns report as to what products have been returned. And you match it off by order number. And so what you'll find is that 20 sales have been refunded Amazon has taken from your seller account as a refund, but only 10 of the products have been returned. And as long as it's within 45 days, so you can't do it where the customer's still got time to return it, so you just match the dates perfectly, you might find that there's 10 products that have been debited from your seller account that the customer hasn't returned. And you raise a case with Amazon, Amazon return the money. I did that after about 6 months. I got £300 or £400 back. So it's well worth doing. I diarise it to do it every 3 months. It takes 1 or 2 hours. Do it in the UK, do it in the States. You find 10 or 12 orders that haven't been returned to Amazon. You raise a case and you get your money back. Finally, to finish up this slide, any return, I think I mentioned it earlier, product improvements is everything you can learn from returns. And the thing about this is the Amazon business is we sit down with a spreadsheet and we say we can get these things from China for $2, we can sell them for $30. We've got no overheads, we've got no costs, and we look at profit. And it's a huge amount of profit by way of a percentage compared to bricks and mortar stores that have got to pay for rent and staff and so on and so forth. Customer returns is actually a cost of doing business. So if a customer gets a product and their child destroys the thing, Amazon are going to always give them the benefit of the doubt, give them the refund. Even whether you think it's fair or not, you've just got to write that off as a cost of doing business. Richard, any questions?
We're seeing a couple of people saying they can't see the slides. Is that the same for everybody? If you need to refresh your screen share there.
I think maybe he's gone on strike. He's been fed up with this slide.
We've had a question come in from Mark. If Amazon lose an item in transit to the customer and refund them, does the seller also get compensated for the lost product?
Yes. So for example, what often happens is customer orders a product and the courier, particularly on a Friday afternoon, can't be bothered to deliver. They want to go to the pub. It happens in the UK a lot. So the courier will say they can't find the address. So the product will be returned to Amazon and it will go through as a refund. And you will still be, so let's say you've made 20 quid from the sale, the customer gets refunded. The admin fee for putting that back on the shelf, you will still be charged. I don't know if that answers the question, but so if it's lost by the customer, if it's a courier problem, then you can claim that money back. But I think you need to contact Amazon in that case to claim the money back. Any other questions?
Yeah, what are the products that will automatically do the returns reconciliation for you? You know, you mentioned earlier on. Danny, I don't know if you know the names of them.
No, I don't actually. I know there's some spreadsheets and there's some softwares out there. I've been road testing a few of the different softwares this week, like Seller Oracle and Cash Cow Pro and things like that. So I've not done a full deep dive yet, but I think some reconciliation is available in one of those.
Yeah, and the way it works is it's a bit of software that runs, and the software is actually very cute. It automatically creates the support cases with Amazon Support Center, and the way it works is any refund because they can see your orders, any of the orders that you need to be paid out for, the Amazon refunds, I think they take $1.50 as their fee. So if you're getting $10 or $20 back, they take $1.50. It's a bit of, if you're into automation, it's a great way to do it. But we'll find out the name and we'll post it to the group. I can't remember. Maybe somebody else in the group knows the name. But I probably would automate because it means it gets it done, and it's one other thing that I don't have to do by way of reconciliation. But that's the way it works. You attach it to your account, and it goes through all your orders, and it raises cases, and you get your money back, and it takes $1.50 for its troubles. Okay, let's push on. I see Danny's getting very sexy with how we transition slides there. Okay, so let's talk about customer seller feedback. So this is where, and what often happens is Amazon will send an email out to people, and they'll say, you know, how was the seller, how was the delivery, and so on and so forth. So customer seller feedback is strictly about you, the seller, and the delivery. That's what that seller review is for. And so if you get a seller review that is negative about the product, then it's not a valid seller review. And you can raise a case under customer orders, and you can ask for that seller review to be removed. And Amazon trawl through the seller reviews, and you'll find that sometimes when you raise a case, it's almost like someone's been sitting there waiting for you to raise that case, because they'll come back immediately and tell you that it breaches their terms and the review has been removed. And so it's worth checking on a daily basis, maybe a couple of times a day if you've got decent volumes, as to what seller reviews you're getting, because somebody who's unhappy with the product will throw it up there and they'll say, you know, this isn't great, this is wrong, and that's wrong, and you can raise a case and have that reviewed, and so have the review removed. Okay. If the review is negative about FBA, if it's negative about Amazon delivering, then you can get that review struck through. So it's a kind of a no-lose place, this area, in that if it's negative about the product, you can get it removed. If it's negative to say, you know, I ordered it and it took 3 days longer to be delivered, the box was damaged, etc., you can also raise a case with Amazon. And what Amazon will do is they'll put a line through the review. You can still read it, but it's lined through. And Amazon put a comment under there saying Amazon takes full responsibility for this problem, because Amazon's responsible for delivery. And it no longer affects your average rating, and it no longer affects your performance metrics. Now, I've had instances where someone has left a seller review that is also criticizing the delivery experience, but also criticizing the product. And when I raise it to be removed as a product review, they don't remove it, they just strike it through. Then I raise it again, and 9 times out of 10 they remove it the second time. So it pays to be persistent. It pays to be persistent when you're actually dealing with these seller reviews. So if you get a seller review and it's positive and it mentions the product, it's fantastic. Now, so someone's there saying, I love this product, it's fantastic, so on and so forth. What you can do on a seller review is you can leave a comment. Now, what I do is I go in maybe once or twice a week and I take the last 5 reviews where someone's actually mentioned the product. And what they'll do is they'll mention the product not necessarily by name, saying, we had a great experience with this, we love this. So I'll put a comment on there and I'll say, thank you very much for ordering my adult diapers. We really appreciate your business, and you know, have a great day. And so any prospective customer coming in is looking at your seller reviews. They're seeing a great positive review about a product, but assuming you're selling more than one product, they don't know what the product is. So I'll go in and I'll mention the product, and I think you can even put a link in there where you can actually direct them to other products in your range. So I use the comment section as a way, once again, to give positive feedback to the customer.
Anthony,
yeah.
Soddy's asking a question, saying, don't you mean seller feedback rather than review?
Yeah, I interchange it. I say seller feedback, seller review, and I mean it is the seller feedback which is left as
seller account feedback is what you mean, yeah? That
is correct, sir.
Yes.
So it's not a product review. It is the review of the seller. So I'll leave the public comment. It adds value. The customer's aware of that, and so on and so forth. Now, One quick tip is when you go into the seller review that is negative about your product, you click through, you can click into the order. Once that review is removed, you'll actually see on the order screen the reviews at the bottom, the text of the reviews at the bottom. Once you've raised a case to have that removed, that disappears from the order. And you'll never know again that that was the customer that really didn't like your product. Not a good move to then contact them by whatever means to ask them for a product review because you're going to get a bad one. So before I raise the case to get the seller feedback removed, I cut and paste their seller feedback into the comments part of the order. Always click save, and then it's there forever to know that they left you a bad seller feedback as a product review. Okay, and then the final thing, and this is hugely successful as well, which is to flip good product reviews left as a seller feedback into product reviews. So what I'll do typically is I'll write to Dear Jane, thank you so much for leaving seller feedback for us. The team here is so excited, they've just rung the bell. You've made their day. The only problem is you've left your review in the wrong place. You've left it as a seller review, and we'd love you to leave it as a product review. I really appreciate the fact that you've taken the time to do this, and to make it as easy as possible for you to put the review in the right place. I've cut and pasted your words here, and I cut and paste the words in. Please go to your order screen, and to the right of where the order is for our product, there's a button to leave this review. It would make so much difference to our business, and we really appreciate that. I go a little bit further, and what I've started, and I'll get out of 10 of those, I'll probably get 4 or 5 that will actually become a 5-star product review. Great conversion rate. I've increased the conversion rate by being a little bit cheeky, by saying, because I've brought some products in that are cheaper in my product range that I use as gifts. So what I do is I'll say, and as a thank you, we'll send you a gift. Now, it's grey area in the, is it terms of service or not? But I'm not asking them to change their review. I'm not telling them to give us a 5-star review. All I'm doing is I'm asking them to copy what they've left in place 1 to place 2. And by offering them a gift, 10 out of 10 response. So that I then go in and I create a gift with, in the States with shipping, total cost to me, landed product plus shipping, $10. It's cost me $10 to get another 5-star review. I'm happy to pay that because that is a marketing cost. If I do that every day, $3,650 cost. I've got 365 seller reviews converted into positive product reviews. Takes time, takes effort, but it's a great way to flip people, and it starts a relationship. And I've converted a couple of those conversations into joining my review club. And it's not a public review club, it's a list of 10 or 15 people. When I launch a new product, I contact them and ask them if they'd be interested in receiving it. They get it for free and they leave reviews. Okay, Richard, anything else, or are we flipping over to the next slide?
Should we jump on to the next one? Oh, Nick actually has said, please can you repeat what you do before removing bad feedback?
Sure. So when you get a bad seller feedback, from there you can click in to the order. And in the order, at the bottom of the order, the seller feedback words as left are at the bottom of your order. I cut and paste those words into the comment field in the order, which is just above it, and click save. Because when you then go to Seller Central and raise a case to ask for the review to be removed because it's in breach of the terms for a seller feedback review, those words at the bottom disappear. And what I want is I want an archive of the fact that John Smith hates my product and left a bad review. So that if at any time in the future I'm going through my listings, or any time in the future there's software out there that allows me to use feedback email software to send to people that where I haven't left a comment, then I can filter out and not send a review request to people that already I know hate my product. Okay, so I hope that answers it, Nick. Okay, so let's talk about customer product reviews. This is the most horrible part of dealing with Amazon, and let's spend a couple of minutes on this. So this, strictly speaking, is supposed to be the customer's honest review of the product. It's what they believe, it's what they know, it's what they understand, or not. They may say something terrible about your product, and it may purely be a lack of education, a lack of knowledge, and you know, to have and everybody focuses on the negative reviews, and everybody focuses on the conspiracy theory as to whether it's a competitor or not, and so on and so forth. And you've got to adopt a mindset here that is every review, including the review that says, as a competitor of yours, I hate your product. You've always got to think of them as a customer. And the moment your mindset changes to competitor, you are dead. Okay. Freddie, you really don't want to see Danny's face. I mean, he's doing there's so many people stayed in the room. Some people that turn up to our physical meetups, they actually put their chair facing the other way. But so,
are you going to get on with this slide? I'm growing a beard here.
We'll be waiting a long time for you to grow hair. So when you get, so everybody focuses on the negative reviews, and that pops a 5-star review, and we're happy about it, and that's it. But an unsolicited 5-star review is like gold dust. Someone has gone out of their way to go, you know what, you've got a great product, here's 5 stars. And sometimes they've left a photograph. Rarely unsolicited, they've left a video. And so every single review you get, good, bad, or indifferent, you've got to stand back and you've got to look at that review and you've got to say, what happened that resulted in that review being left? And what do I need to do to make my business more successful as a result of that? If it's a positive 5-star review, find the customer, thank them. You are recruiting brand ambassadors. You are recruiting people who, word of mouth, will go, you know what, I've been buying shit on Amazon for 5 years, and today was the first time anyone ever reached out to me and thanked me for leaving a review. I'm going to leave more reviews. You know what, I'm going to look at their other products, so on and so forth. So don't just focus on the negative. I know we all get busy and we all get frustrated, but don't just focus on the 1-star reviews, focus on the 5-star reviews as well. They are your brand ambassadors. They are your future customers. They are people that are going to help your business in the future. Now, negative reviews. Negative reviews are rarely removed by Amazon. Okay, almost to a T, they're not removed. And the reason for that is because Amazon doesn't have rules, they have guidelines. So, and you can't be right or wrong, you can't breach a guideline. It's like, it doesn't breach our guidelines because the guidelines are so general. I've had a 1-word review that was a spelling mistake, wasn't removed. I had a review where somebody had either had a heart attack and fallen on the keyboard, a spider had walked across the keyboard, or Danny had practiced his touch typing. It was total gibberish, right? Absolute total gibberish. And I raised a case, it wasn't removed. It's just, and the people, they've got the best job in the world. They sit there and cut and paste into templates. And you've got to keep firing at them, firing at them, firing at them to attempt to get the reviews that should be removed. And of 100 1-star reviews you will receive, don't fight for all 100. There's only 3 that should be removed. Blasphemy, swearing, and children walking across keyboards, or Danny touch typing. Okay. Yesterday, Danny and I were fixing up some text on the website, and I'm looking, and I'm saying to Danny, "No, type this," and he's typing the biggest load of shit I've ever seen in my life.
But do you want to tell him what happened? Is that I was basically sitting there working on the website from 4 o'clock in the morning, and you decided to rock up at the very last moment and decided I was going to be your typist for the day. And instead of you writing it, you were lording it up over my shoulder on Skype.
Smallest violin in the world.
I tediously had to put the information in. So I thought I'd wind you up.
So here's what Danny did. He types the biggest load of gibberish. Even spell check doesn't pick up his words. It's that bad, right? I say to him, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh no, I touch type." It's like the whole point of touch typing is to get the words right.
Yeah.
And the moment he looked down, he realised that he had more fingers. He's actually got 2 fingers on one hand and 11 on the other.
The only thing that's touched around you here is you. So let's move on.
Okay. So where are we? Negative reviews. Okay. So let's not waste our time. 100 one-star reviews over your life of a product or whatever. It's going to happen. Okay. Only go into fight with Amazon on 3 out of the 100. Typing errors, significant typing errors, blasphemy, swearing. Now, the grey hat, black hat stuff, if you get somebody to put a swear word on a comment on a review, Amazon will remove the review. The problem you've got is you need to have someone with a sacrificial Amazon account to do something like that. Breach of terms of service, if you get caught, you'll get your account suspended. So only go into battle with Amazon. Don't argue with them about guidelines, because by definition it's subjective. You're not going to win. Okay. Only go into the battle with the ones that are typing religion, blasphemy, those sort of things. Okay. And with those, persevere and persevere and persevere, and hopefully you'll get somewhere. The only way you're going to get a one-star review removed is by your customer service attitude and approach. Okay. So the first thing, and we had a great example in our Facebook group over the last couple of days, where there's one of our guys. What was the guy's name that was having that conversation with us? Because it's in public domain. I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, he and apologies if he's with us today. He posted a link to a product review that he'd responded to, and he said, "I don't think I was rude. I think I was a bit forceful." And he's posted a comment on a bad review that he's perceived to have come from a competitor. And it was about some acne skin cream. And I'm not betraying his product, he's happily posted his product.
Are you talking about Ross, yeah?
Ross, that's it.
Yeah.
So Ross throws it up there, and Ross is selling an acne skin cream. It's on our Facebook group, so it's not confidential information. And a guy's gone on there and said, "It's burnt my skin." And, it's just the weirdest review possible, and it may or may not be from a competitor, or it may be from somebody who, was taught English by Danny. And so I'm glad. You see, in the room when we're doing a physical meetup, we I get feedback. Richard's in the room. He's the only person that's giving me feedback, because Danny's just sulking now. So Ross posts this review, and he said, "Oh, I was a bit tough with the guy, but I think I was okay. What do you think? Is it going to affect my sales? Because my sales have dropped." Now, the bottom line is your sales are going to drop if you get a one-star review. Your sales are not going to drop based on what comment you put on it or not put on it. You get a one-star review, a lot of customers, it's the first thing they see, and they'll go, "Oh, I'll move on to another thing." So the best strategy with one-star reviews is to bury them. Okay, and we'll come on to burying them in just a moment. And I think after this slide, I'm going to hand over to Danny. So just bear with me, because this is quite an important area. So Ross has posted up his comment, and bless him, we love him to bits. He jumps around all over our group and helps out a lot of people, asks some questions here and there. And Ross's comments were, well, it was kind of like, if your skin was burnt, it's because it deserves to be burnt, because you're an arsehole. It was kind of like that response that he thought was a gentle response. And it was kind of a case of like, well, I'm surprised that you've got this problem now, because this is the second time you've ordered this product. And he just took the guy out. I mean, the guy is in therapy now, he's phoning the Samaritans and all this sort of stuff. And Ross, bless him, he's posted this comment saying like, I wasn't too tough on him, was I? So I offered a response to him, which is what I'll offer for you now. He's got a beauty product as such, or a lack of beauty product until you've used the product. And I offered him a response, which is like, "Dear John, I'm so sorry that you've had an unfortunate experience with our product." And this is a comment on the one-star review. And with this, you are talking to your customers. You're not talking to John, you're talking to your customers. And you're giving them a message that is, it's okay to keep ordering our product. He thinks he's got a problem, but I'm going to tell you why it's okay to keep doing business with us. Dear John, I'm so sad that you've had I'm so sorry you've had an important, an unfortunate experience with our product. I'd like to reassure our customers that our acne cream has been independently verified and tested by 3 organisations, one of whom was formed in 1940. Now, you can't lie here, and you wouldn't be selling an acne cream if you didn't have all this information to back it up. So contextualise this for your product. It's been independently verified by 3 companies, one of whom was formed in 1940, and these companies all subscribe to this level of certification to be qualified to be able to certify the product. Our product is independently inspected, it's independently this, it's independently that, blah, blah, blah. Our product has been certified as safe for use under these circumstances. We have reached out to John, and we are looking to understand a little bit more with John about the problems he's experiencing towards helping him with his problems. We would like to reassure our customers that we take customer service very seriously, and we do not rest until our customers are happy. And blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. Now, there's no mention of the customer is an arsehole, there's no mention of the customer is a competitor, because we're too close to all of this. We're Amazon sellers. We know that there are arseholes out there trying to rubbish our product from time to time. The customer doesn't walk into Zara to buy a blouse knowing that one of the competitors from the clothing shop next door has come and turned all the labels around, has come and hung the white blouses on a different shelf.
Anthony, do they do these blouses in your size?
No, they don't. I go for Olympic size. But I know from the little off-the-shoulder number you were wearing yesterday that they do them in your size. So,
yep.
You know, the customer shopping in a retail store, you know, magazines are a perfect example. People that sell magazines go into stores and they put their magazine in front of other people's magazines on retail stores. So when you go into a store to buy a magazine and you see that there's all these magazines everywhere and you can't find your magazine, it's because one of their competitors has put their magazines in front of somebody else's magazines. Terrible business. Same thing happens online, but the customer doesn't know this stuff. The customer genuinely thinks that John has got skin peeling off his face and with his last breath has managed to write this Amazon review before he's fallen down into a pool of blood and died. So you as the seller have got to treat every single 1-star review you receive and write the comment where you're talking to your customers. You may have a strategy to ignore them all, which is also fine, but you've got to write to every one of your customers. And then what you do is you trace John and write to him. And then your customer service approach with John will either get the review removed, revised, or changed. Now, how to trace John? Okay, so the review's left by Amazon customer, or it's left by John. You can click through from the review, and it will lead you to their review page. If it's Amazon customer and they've hidden everything, you can't find them, and that's all you can do. Your comment may still be on your review. We've reached out to Amazon customer. Your comment could also be, this review has been left anonymously and we're unfortunately unable to reach out to Amazon customer to help them with their problem. However, we hope that the customer will contact us and we look forward to dealing with them in future. The other thing you can do by way of your public comment on a review is you can go back in 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and you can make the comment, we reached out to John with his problem, and unfortunately we haven't heard from John. And we remain committed to customer service, and we hope that in the future John will contact us so that we can sort the problem out. So you're showing potential customers that you are on the ball and so on and so forth. So you're trying to find John. You've clicked through Amazon customer and there's nothing there. Okay, that's where it ends. However, if John or Amazon customer in their review page has got a wish list, you can click on the wish list and the wish list will come up to say John Smith or Sally Smith or Ian Hughes. And from that name and the product they've reviewed, you can do a search in your orders over the previous 3 months, which for Danny will take a couple of minutes. For me, I'd be hours at it, going through all my sales for 3 months.
But do you tell everyone that you've got a full-time employee working on this, responding to all your negative reviews?
No, I do it all myself now.
Oh, you do it all yourself now? So
I fired that person. They weren't doing the response times I wanted. Anyway, so if they've got a wish list, sometimes their review pages in their name. You find them through the orders, a search of orders and ASIN based on customer name. You can then write to them. What I do is I cut and paste my product review, my comment on the public review. I cut that into my message that I'm sending to John. I change a few words, but in essence, the reassurance I've given my customer base as a whole, I'm also going to give to John. Right? I'm never going to think of him as a customer, never going to think of him as an arsehole, and I'll say, dear John, you know, and I've changed it a little bit. I'm so sorry that you've had an unfortunate incident with the product. I give him the 3 or 4 paragraphs that are telling him that this product has been certified and it's this and it's that and so on and so forth. I then add to my thing to say, you know, we really do hold customer service in the highest to the highest levels, and we really want to try to help you. I'll ask for a photograph is the only way I'll make sure that it's a genuine complaint. I'll ask for a photograph. I'll ask for more information under the guise of wanting to learn about the product or the problem that they've had. If I've got that information from the review, or I feel I don't need the information, I'll say to them, I've given you a full refund, and I've sent you a gift, and I'll use one of my gifting type products, and I'll send it to them. And then sometimes, and what I'm doing recently is I'm adding a paragraph in there to say, I'm so disappointed that you didn't contact us before you left this review with your problem. And particularly, and I even go as far as saying, and particularly, you know, to leave, you've left us, you know, sorry, let me start again. I'm disappointed that you didn't reach out to us before you left a product review, because we could have handled your problem very quickly and to your satisfaction. And in leaving a review, particularly one as damning as yours, which is kind of tough, you may want to water that down a little bit, but in leaving one as damning as yours, you know, it does affect our business, and it does mean that customers may look away from our product and buy a product from another seller, a seller who does not subscribe to the same high levels of customer service as we do. And I kind of guilt trip them a little bit, manipulate them a little bit, and you can do your own version of that or not, in having that conversation with them about actually making them feel, you know what, actually this guy's a really nice guy. He's reached out to me, no one reaches out to me, he's refunded me, he sent me a gift. You know, maybe I was a bit harsh. And I say to them, look, I hope we've addressed your problem and your concerns. In light of all of this, I would like you to ask to reconsider your review, and please contact me if you have any problems, and so on and so forth. It's slightly grey. I'm not telling them what to do, I'm asking them to reconsider. Now, of 10 of those that I send out for 1-star reviews, 5 I won't get a response from, and you ignore it and move on. And 5 I will get a response from. I'll get more information. My worst result of the 5 that have responded is a refund and a gift. A 1-star went to a 2-star. Okay, slight improvement, and they changed the words a little bit and mentioned customer service. The absolute best one I had was I had a 1-star review with 9 vote ups. So the product is shit, and 9 people voted it up. I reached out to the guy, gave him, and this was like 2 months after he left the review, because I was kind of behind on some of this stuff. Reached out to the guy, wrote him a lovely letter, gave him a refund. The guy was so happy. I think he was like Billy No Mates, sitting at home, no friends, doesn't go out. He was so happy to hear from me. He changed his review to 5 stars, added words in there and paragraphs in there about customer service. And you know what happened was the vote ups for the 1-star review, which were probably from competitors, became vote ups for a 5-star review, and now it's my best review. So it's kind of karma in a way that it flipped it around in that way. So just want to quickly talk to you about the good, bad 3-star review. So Amazon considers 4 5-star reviews as positive reviews, and it considers 1 to 3-star reviews as negative reviews. So I've had an instance where someone has left me a 3-star review, but the words were, "This is an absolutely brilliant product. I loved it. My family loved it. We're going to buy more." So what you've got is you've got the guy with a psychometric profile of miserable. He doesn't ever leave a 3-star review. He doesn't ever leave a 5-star review. He's just permanently miserable. So he's clicked the button. Maybe he meant to click 5 stars. He clicked 3. He's like, "I'm Mr. Miserable. Here's my 3-star review. Yeah, it's a really great product. It made us all really happy. We love this product." And then he gets back on to being miserable and complaining about life in the world. That is a good, bad review. And if you are asking family and friends to vote up a review, get them to vote up your best 3-star review. If you're going out to a review club, if you're going out to family and friends, even go as far as asking them to leave you a great 3-star review. Because when somebody clicks into the reviews, Amazon presents to the customer your best 5-star review, your best positive review, and your best negative review. So wouldn't it be great that your best positive review is positive, as it would be, and your best negative review is positive? What impact does that have to the customer? And there's many ways that are not grey hat or black hat to get a good, bad 3-star review. Okay. And finally on this slide, and we'll chuck it over to Richard and Danny for questions or abuse, the key point here when dealing with anything to do with your product is never to say sorry and I'm not sure if my buddy from Ireland is in the room. He's great at saying, "Yeah, oh, you know what? That was a mistake in the factory. We're sorting that out in the next batch." Or, "Yeah, oh, we realise that's really bad." No. Always defend your product. You have the best product in the world. Defend it, but provide customer service. Don't tell the customer they're wrong. Defend your product. And I've given a couple of examples in speaking to this slide for a couple of minutes that gives that. But always defend your product. Use testing. It's been tested by industry professionals. If it's not a product that's verified by a science lab, this product's been tested by industry professionals. It's regularly been used by primary schools if it's a kiddie's product or whatever. Always defend your product, but wrap it in great customer service. And the cost, here's the cost, right? Final point. 1-star review on a product here that's selling 30 a day, the following day I will sell 20. That is $300 of profit. After all costs, $300 of profit that 1-star review has cost me. Okay? So to refund a customer for $10 or $20 or $30 or $40 and send them a $10 gift, it's nothing compared to the $300 of lost sales that you'll have that day or the following day because the 1-star review is there or it's first. The final point, because I've just remembered another point, is the concept of giving a product away every day. Now, I've got a product that landed from China, cost price, shipping, in Amazon's warehouse, cost me $10. Give one of those away every day to a review group, and whilst an unverified review doesn't affect your performance metrics number, marginally, it's like 0.1 per review as opposed to, sorry, 0.01 per review as opposed to 0.1 per verified review, give one away every day. $10 a day, $3,650 a year. What it means is that you are probably no more than an hour or a day away from an unverified review coming in at 4 or 5 stars, and any 1-star review you've got being moved down the list. Okay? And just as I said earlier, if we were forming a dry cleaning business, if we're forming a car mechanics, our Excel spreadsheet that builds up the business plan would have premises, it'd have staff, it'd have equipment, it'd have loads of cost lines in there. And we go to Alibaba, we source it for $2, we throw it into Amazon for $10, and everything else is profit. And we don't want to spend any of it because everything else is profit. Okay? $3,650. Okay? Let's say £2,000 a year to give one away a day.
How many a day?
Just one.
Just the one. Okay.
And you've got,
Just in case people didn't
you've
get
got
it.
300 reviews at the end of the year, and you're always moving a one-star review down. Amazon's not going to remove the review. Customer service will remove maybe half the reviews. $3,650 a day. 300,600. Sorry, I was doing my sales for a moment there. $3,650 a year to keep your positive, to keep your product positive and strong, and so on and so forth. Okay, enough from Danny now. Let's take Richard and questions.
Okay, so in terms of questions, so what would you do about a one-star review that is constantly voted up? I think you've already covered that one when you talked about reaching out to the bad reviewer. What are the best ways to get customers to give you a seller feedback? I've tried to request feedback by email, but had very little success.
I'll go into that in that next section. Yep.
That's Danny in a moment. Anything else?
No, I think that's it. Oh, is the free
Michelle.
gift you offer an FBA product? Asks Tim.
So what was the question? I missed that. Yes. Yes. Sorry. Yes.
Tim is asking, is the free gift you offer?
Yeah. I source a product. In fact, a couple of products that are good products, but they're just cheap. And so for my segment of customers, I put them in FBA. They're for sale. I sell a few a day, but I use them for gifting. And I'll send them out, and they sit in the Amazon warehouse. I create a fulfillment order, and I fire them off. There was a question I saw here from, where's it gone? It's a question from Michelle. One-star review that's constantly being voted up, so not possible to bury it. It's a tricky one. I mean, the answer is obvious. You know, it's like a league table. If you keep scoring the goals, then you're going to be at the top of the league table. So, you know, if you suspect that, and in fact, I was involved in. I'm involved in a legal case with a friend of mine, where he's in the supplement space, and he, because of the FDA approvals and stuff like that, he's actually managed to trace back some one-star reviews to another seller. I don't quite understand how he did it, but via FDA numbers that I think have to be in listings, he managed to trace them back. And this guy was basically paying for people to vote up one-star reviews. And he's managed to get the guy suspended. He's suing the guy. He's looking at a $300,000-400,000 punitive damages claim here in the States. So I think was it Michelle? What was the name of the person? Missed the person's name. Oh, Michelle. Yeah, it was Michelle.
Yeah, it was Michelle. Yeah,
I think in that situation, you know, you can play the game for who can vote it up, who can vote it down. It's kind of probably a little bit tedious. I would, you know, if it's genuinely customers going, you know what, the product's really shit. You know, we get too close to the product, and the product could be really shit for a number of your customers, a number of your potential customers, and it's actually genuine. You know, I mean, when Danny goes in to choose a little off-the-shoulder number for Danielle at the weekend, he doesn't like every little black off-the-shoulder number he finds, and you know, maybe the zip catches his skin on some of them and not on others. And so I think what you've got to consider is, you know, some of your customers are just not going to like the product, and they're going to leave that review, and that's part of doing business. It's almost like you can have a too squeaky clean listing. It can be too 5-star, it can be too good, and that's not reality, and we all know that. So you know, Michelle, I would say that it's probably worth raising a case with Seller Central if it looks abnormal, and they can trace IP addresses and so on and so forth, you're probably not going to have any luck, and you're probably just going to have to wear it. You know, the other things you can consider that are very much more extreme would be if the product is almost running out of stock, look to do some form of modification, whether it's packaging or whatever, for the next batch of product you bring in, and bring it in as a variation listing to sit alongside the existing product you've got, and use a new barcode and create it as a new listing. You are starting from scratch there, because you then take, once you sell out of the other product, you take that out of the variation listing, and I think you'd maintain some organic rank, but you would lose all of your reviews. So there's a way to kind of ultimately bury it, but that also comes at a price. Richard, Daniel.
You done with your verbal diarrhea? Should we move on?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so let's look at email automation using the feedback software. I won't go into detail of what the ones are the best to use, because people have a choice. A lot of it's down to, you know, signing up for these services and working out what works best for you. For instance, I use Feedbacks. I've not tried SalesBacker. I've tested Feedback Genius, Feedback 5, but a lot of people use them, but they're just simply not for me. So what I'm going to look at today, trying to give you a little bit of feedback of educating the customer in a non-traditional way. The reason I say that is because there seems to be quite often a one-step approach to getting reviews, and it's more like a big attack, if you like. And I think sometimes people lose sight that the reason why they get negative reviews is because they can be too pushy, or they are sending too many mails, they're not doing enough testing. So this is kind of a controversial kind of subject, and it'd be good to get some do some Q&A after this. So let's look at the less is more approach. So don't believe mail sequences are there purely to get reviews and hassle your customer. If executed in the correct manner, they can be used as an educational tool. No product is the same, nor market, so testing is much more important than opinion. And always remember, you're not the customer, and that customers come in all different shapes and sizes. So let's just back up a little bit here. A lot of people base things on opinions. I mean, in a world like my background, I do areas which are called conversion optimization. And when you would have clients, they're in this kind of world, people will have a nickname for like over opinionated people. They call them hippos, so the highest person's opinion. And quite often that is that you'll go in and work on a project, and then the boss is in there and says, I want the image on the website there, or I want that to go there. And basically, really what you should be doing is testing, because otherwise you're going to be leaving money on the table. And 9 times out of 10, when you do conduct these tests, your original assumption is incorrect. So unless you've done any testing, you won't find this out. And this is going to be the quickest way to find out what works and what doesn't work. And also, if you take into consideration, someone like Anthony is very anti getting an email from anyone. He hates it, and that's fair enough. I'm not saying that everyone loves to be marketed to, but don't think you are your customer avatar, because, again, you're going to leave money on the table. So the best route forward for this is to always be tested. So what are we looking to teach the customer? So key things that you need to cover off here is how to use the product, what is the best and fastest way to get up to speed, look to counter any arguments in your mail sequence, and make yourself available to the customer 24/7. In doing so, you're going to reduce the risk of bad reviews. So how many mails should we send? So I always say send what is absolutely necessary. Okay, this will be based on the learning curve, the technical attribute to the product. I've got quite technical products, so I send multiple mails, which I'll go into shortly. So, but I will say is do not send more than 3, and especially if you sell pieces of rubber or your products are one-trick ponies like Anthony's are, then there's no need to send multiple emails for them to understand it, because that's pretty much insulting them. The other key thing is that hounding for reviews isn't educating the customer. This is about the customer and not you. So let me give you an example of an email sequence here. So in the technical product that I've got, we use an infographic which shows the many uses of the product. And so the reason we've done it this way, you've got images and a short amount of text, because often when people are busy in their day, they are scanning through their emails and they just want information fast. So I normally send this 8 a.m. after the order is placed, and always make sure in the email it offers the customer to come back to me and ask any questions. In the second email, I'll repeat the same similar process, but this time, because my product can regenerate and it's rechargeable, it increases the value. So there's two options there of how to recharge. So I'm adding that in as a value option. I have tested where I've sent out both the infographics into one email, but people seem to be liked it to be spread out because it avoids them to being overwhelmed. And also, when it comes to the recharging stage, with the distance I'm putting in between, it makes sense for it to drop on their doorstep, if you like, when it's time to go through that whole recharging process. Again, we're softly touching base with the customer whilst educating. Now, the third email that I send with this, again, this is tests over 9 months to get an optimum time to send the products. I've tested 5 days, I've tested 7 days, and we're basically working on 10 days. So at this stage is where I ask the customer if they're happy. Now, going back to what Anthony was saying about the account feedback, so I use a happy face that sends them to the account feedback page, and then a frown face which opens up an email. I do this for two reasons. One is because if they put a negative, which is pretty much a product review, in the account feedback, I can get that removed. And obviously the frown face will work in a process whereby I can catch them before leaving a negative review. They will come back to me, and then I can respond to the customer and start to address their needs. So what was the outcome from this? So I get a lot more questions from customers now, which reduce knee-jerk reaction to negative reviews. So we're looking here at a prevention rather than a cure. I also get a lot of compliments from customers for going to great efforts to educate them. This is also mentioned in the reviews and the account feedback. And overall, this has stopped negative reviews since I've updated this campaign. And what I mean by that, I was getting negative reviews before, and I was trying to understand what the customer was using the product for. So they'd leave negative reviews and say this doesn't work, but they didn't elaborate on it, and you'd email the customer and nothing come back. And it wasn't until I got to the stage now where I make a phone call to the customer before I've left the message and then call back. That doesn't work. I've sent emails, like Anthony said, you may get 5 out of 10 returning, but I don't leave messages now. I phone the customer, I speak to them on the phone. I just phone them and say, look, I understand you left a bad review, you're unhappy, so I'm just giving you a call today to sort out your full refund, and you can keep the product as a gift. I was just wanting to check with you what problems that you're facing. And what I found with a lot of the customers I spoke to is that they've tried to use this product in particular to solve a problem that doesn't exist with our product. And what I mean by that is that our product is not designed to solve their problem. So to give you an example, there's a lady in the States I spoke to. She had some smells coming out from under the floor of her building. It was dead critters, basically. And the product I got is an absorbent material. And so instead of calling somewhere like Rentacure to come out and dispose of this, she thought she'd buy our product to solve the problem. And then I had to explain to her that these dead critters will decompose over time. I had another customer that has an issue with paint, and our product won't work with paint, and it won't work with things like leather because there's a lot of chemicals that are based in there, and less so being natural. So being that our product is natural and it's rechargeable, it's not suitable for these things, nor do we promote these in the listings or any of our infographics or anything else. So you're finding out, the moral of the story here is what you're finding out is you're learning from what the customer is using your product for, because often they would just ignore you. You're also looking at that customers are having a bad day, so that they'll take it out on you. And you often find that when you do speak to the customer and get them on the phone and you give them a full refund and you kill them with kindness, they will go and then change that review. They're happy, they will address it. Some customers feel that they can't backtrack too much because of losing face. So what they'll do is they may move it from a 1-star to a 3-star, and then they'll leave their review in place and just add a little section at the bottom to say how good the customer service is and elaborate on what the changes were made. So going into the next slide, as we're discussing here, is killing your customer with kindness. So the cost of doing business, this is what Anthony alluded to earlier on. I always give the customer a full refund and tell them to keep it as a gift. I don't want the product being sent back. The reason I don't want that is a fewfold, is that I don't want it to go back into stock when it becomes second-hand, gets sent back out to a customer, it becomes a problem. I also understand that the customer's always right even when they're not. And killing the customer kindness will reflect on your review score, as I mentioned earlier on. Well, the biggest things is that people get allow this to get to them. You've got to understand that customers are unruly, customers are not always good, and customers are not always truthful. So you kind of having to play this cat and mouse game with your customer. But I would always say is that look at it as this is a cost of doing business. And if we look to, say, the situation that Anthony mentioned earlier on with Ross, now I see that Ross had actually posted his product into a few groups and said, can you upvote this, can you do this, can you do that? And that's fair enough. And from a person, from an outside looking in and seeing what Ross is doing, I would say that with what he's doing, he's got so close to the action on his business and it's become overwhelming for him in some cases. He's not seeing the wood for the trees, and that can have an effect on him that he doesn't desire. And I think what will happen over a period of time, he will start to settle down and he will take on the role of taking a deep breath, rising above what the situation with the customer, and just put it down as a cost of doing business. So Anthony, we can hand over to you here to cover off this slide. Are you there, Anthony? Richard, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So I just popped out to get a nice coffee while
I bored everyone to tears, yeah?
Because it's quite hot here in LA, so I can't drink hot coffee. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the important points to remember to your customer, for your customer.
Yep. Go on, move on. 1 second. Here you go.
Okay, so just a couple of interesting metrics. If you sell 1,000 items, you might, without any review software or whatever, you might just organically get 10. You might get 10 5-star reviews, and you may also organically get 10 1-star reviews. And you're going to finish up with a 3 out of 5 rating. Amazon, I believe, Amazon only really loves you if you've got a 4 or higher rating. There's a lot of other metrics involved, but it's very important to keep your review score above 4 to really feel the love and to get the business. Some product categories are harder to keep your review score up because you're selling a product that naturally is going to cause problems. But look at this. You've sold 1,000 items. Only 10 have triggered, which is, what's that, 1%. Only 10 instances of sale have triggered someone to leave you a bad review. There are 990 customers out there who are some degree of satisfied, but nobody else out of the 1,000 is unhappy enough to actually leave a review. And so, for several perspectives, one is when you get a 1-star review, put it in context. It's 1 out of 10 out of 1,000. And also, put it in context. Apply the customer service. Spend the time on those 10, because if you reduce them by half and you get 10 people organically or by whatever means to leave you a positive review, you've still got a lot of people out there who are not unhappy enough to leave a bad review and could be incredibly happy and either haven't been triggered to leave a positive review or just can't be bothered or whatever. I mean, I go into a shop, I buy something. It's the greatest notebook I've ever bought. I don't want to talk to anybody about it. I don't want to leave a review. I don't want anyone to ask me about it. You know, I want to just buy my product, I paid my money, you know, get on, restock the shelf, and get on with your business. So well managed, you know, managing your reviews, managing your customers, they make a huge difference between your success and your failure, which is the whole thrust of the presentation. Key point here is treat them as you would expect to be treated. So if you find yourself writing a comment or writing to a customer where you are threatening to kidnap their next born child, put yourself in their position and say to yourself, how would you feel if you were receiving that? How, you know, if you genuinely, you know, you've bought a product before that is terrible, and then some horrible person then writes to you to tell you that you don't have the right to think that that is a horrible product, how would you feel? It would make you more angry, it would make you, you know, do a whole host of unexpected things. So treat people as you expect to be treated. Go significantly and massively out of your way for them. It pays off. It doesn't always pay off, and that's the hardest thing to deal with. 10 instances of trying to turn somebody around, 2 might work, 3 might work. But if any work, it's been worth the effort. But don't enter into therapy because the other 7 didn't. And bear in mind, anything you do, you are dealing with a customer who has a dinner party, who has friends, who works with people, has a conversation in somewhere, somehow, with someone, and word of mouth is something that doesn't touch Amazon at all until someone comes back in and buys your product. So you are creating brand ambassadors with whatever you do, when you do the good, when you reward the good, when you comment on the good, when you address the bad.
Ansel speech therapy.
Whoa. Okay, that's still coming up. Okay. So, questions. Can we see Danny yet?
We'll have to come out the slide. If you
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. I just want to get the room up. I want to see how many people jump out of the room.
The moment I reveal,
As
yeah.
Danny joins.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hello.
I can't even find the page now. Okay, there we go. Yep. It's gone dark there.
It is.
Okay, 30 people have just left the room.
Have they?
Quickly, go back to the slides. Quickly.
Okay. Back to the slides it is then. Yeah. Okay, so do we have any questions just on that last part there? I think Yemi mentioned, how do I get the customer's telephone number? So let me just go through a couple of the steps that we've skipped out in the slides. Is how do we find that reviewer generally, and how do we get the customer information? So normally what happens is when a customer leaves a review, you can click through and see their profile. In some cases it might be as Amazon customer, in some cases it might be abbreviated like TH, their initials. And so the idea is that you'd click through and you'd see their profile page, and from the profile page, if they've got like a subname of some kind like TH, you could actually click on their lists, and if they've got anything in the list, generally that reveals their name. So then you take their name, which is again a slow process, take their name, you go back to your orders. It's very difficult to find in the interface on Amazon, they don't make it easy. So from there you download all your orders into a spreadsheet. There's a way to tab it so that you get pagination for 100 orders at a time. Cut and paste those into a spreadsheet, and then in the search field punch in the name. That brings up the order number. You get the order number, and then you take that back into Amazon. Then you find the person's deal details, and then you can phone them. So yes, it's a world of pain. However, I've been playing around with Seller Oracle, I think it's called, and Cascal Pro this week, and that makes it a lot easier to find their names. And incidentally as well, depending on your email software program that you're using, you can actually, if you set your campaigns right at the beginning from the very first day of doing sales, that will have your customer information in as well. So generally you can go to customers, then search and search by name and get up the order number. Okay, any other questions?
Thanks, Danny. Who asks, when you comment on a product review, is the person who left it notified?
Good question. Anthony?
What was the question?
Read it again, Richard.
When you comment on a product review, is the person who left it notified?
I think they are, but you are able to, as a customer, you're able to switch notifications on and off. So you can't guarantee that they're notified, but I think the default is that they are notified.
Okay.
Okay, another question. Nate was asking, what post-review feedback service would you recommend? Do you use any templates for customer service?
Yes, I mean, I've created my own. I'm sure Anthony has as well. There's an option in your messages within the Amazon system to create templates. So you can come up with various different types. One for return, some's a Q&A. I can't think off the top of my head. Anthony, what templates do you have as well?
I just, with any letters I'm writing to customers, I keep a folder structure.
Yeah.
Under the type of response so if it's
yeah, what I meant was, give me an example. So we talk about returns, don't we? We talk about Q&A, you know, common questions on the product. What's some of the templates that you've saved?
Well, I'll save them based on my specific product and what questions I've had or what problems I've had in the past. Gotcha. So I'll just I just got a folder structure that says torn, wrong size, smell, and then I've got various answers I've used, and I just cut and paste them all in from there. I don't automate any order processing stuff yet.
Yeah.
Okay, another question. Laura is asking, do we always get sent the questions as a seller? I don't recall ever being sent one, but customers have responded. Lots of question marks.
If a customer raises a customer product question, I thought that every time the customer asks a product question, you get emailed as the seller. But yesterday I went in and found that one of my products, I've got like 15 questions, and I only recall 7 or 8 of them being sent to me. So I think it's worth going and checking your listings, you know, periodically every few days, I guess. Just make it part of your standard checks.
Okay, there's a question here from Jerry. Do you want to read this out, Richard?
Yeah, Jerry's asking, it's a technical one for Danny. How does Danny add the faces in the feedback request? Is it in HTML in an email, or is it one of the software packages, or can you put the HTML directly in the Amazon system?
No, it's from a software package. It's designed so that you've got a Wixie there, so what you see is what you get, and then you can edit the HTML. So you can cut and paste your images in, and then obviously shape them on the front end, very much like you would on WordPress or a Word document when you're structuring, and then you can access your HTML to do some edits there if required.
Okay. Let me take Janice's question. She's asking about reviews that are not verified.
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, if you're sitting on a 4.2 ranking and you've got like 30 reviews, if you get a 5-star review, that's going to a verified 5-star review, that's going to nudge you to 4.3. It may take 2 5-star reviews to get you to 4.3 because it's a calculation. An unverified review, it would probably take you 10 5-star reviews that are unverified under that example to take you from 4.2 to 4.3. And it's a change. It's a recent change with Amazon where they've changed the weighting in the algorithm for an unverified review. So an unverified review for the customer is read as a customer review, as a review count. It's there, but in terms of how it affects your overall score, it has a marginal effect. But they're still valuable, but they're less valuable than they used to be.
So there's another question here about vanity URLs, super URLs. What's your take on this, Anthony?
Yes.
They are, I think Amazon have banned them, haven't they? So essentially people are using, when you're going out for a review, they're sending out a URL that would match a search term. So if you're selling, you know, if you want to rank organically for premium adult diapers, people will create a super URL. So when you send a link out for someone to buy the product for a review, they're clicking on that link and it's as though they've searched for premium adult diapers. And you are artificially affecting your organic position. Amazon have banned it. I haven't heard of anyone getting in trouble for it. Personally, I don't use them. I think they're a waste of time. I focus on sourcing great products, throwing them into Amazon, and having great listings.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, my take on that is I've got a good friend, Anthony Lee, who works for Zomblast. Very nice guy. And he wrote a long piece on it because a lot of people have turned around and said that they don't work and this, that, and the other. But if you do a search for Anthony Lee, Zomblast, super URL, and read his breakdown of it, because he has a huge amount of data. So he has, he's in an informed position to back it up or not back it up per se. So I would say definitely take a look at that yourself and come to your own conclusion.
Okay, conscious of time, because Danny took quite a while with his slides, so maybe a couple of questions and then we'll wrap it.
There is one here, David Fullerton. What is the best way to create a customer database and look at metrics such as repeat custom and potential to contact customers on a remarketing basis?
On a remarketing basis. I don't do this at the moment, but there was a point where you could take some of the data you generate from Amazon and then feed that to do remarketing into your Facebook campaigns. But because I haven't done that technique for a while, I'm not sure if that window is still open. Other than that, I'm not sure how you could remarket, if I'm honest.
So one thing to add here is if you look at the Amazon terms of service, Amazon, when you're contacting a customer, Amazon don't want you to put links in your, it strictly says don't put links in your messages to customers. I've raised a couple of cases on this. As long as you're promoting within Amazon, Amazon are quite happy for you to do it. So for example, if you're writing to a customer about product number 1, it's perfectly fine for you to say, oh, by the way, are you aware that we do product number 2 and provide a link for it, as long as that link is back into Amazon. Question that's just come up here, how to arrange the gift to unsatisfied customers, or even a gift to satisfied customers. Let's make happy happier. So the way you do it is, let's say you are selling spatulas, and you've got mini spatulas and big spatulas. So if you've got a customer's bought your big spatulas and you want to gift them your little ones, you've got them in the FBA warehouse. You go into your inventory list, and on the right hand side there's a button. You can pull down a menu list there, and it's create a fulfillment order. And you're then presented with a screen where you put the name and address of the customer, you put a message, you can create an order number if you want, or it creates it for you. And once you click through into that, Amazon will give you shipping options. Now the shipping is fairly expensive in the States. It's much cheaper in the UK. And the shipping options in the UK are get it to them in 2 days, get it to them in like 4 days kind of thing. Whereas in the States, because it's so big here, the standard shipping is about a week. Then you can pay a lot more for 2 days, and you can pay a lot more for 1 day. And you select what shipping option you want and what you're prepared to pay. And reasonably, you're probably looking at somewhere $6–7 in the States. You're probably looking at £1.60, £2 in the UK for a fairly standard sized product. You click the button, and that is a fulfillment order that you've created, and it's an order for fulfillment by Amazon as though a customer had purchased it. And it's visible in your order screen as an order you can click through. You can see when it's been shipped, and I did one the other day where it told me it was going to arrive by Wednesday, and I wanted it to arrive by Wednesday because it was a gift for somebody, and I wanted it to be timed for the Wednesday, and it actually arrived on Monday, which fine. They beat their schedule. So it's quite simple. You're just creating a fulfillment order, and if you can't find it, just go to help, and it will tell you about fulfillment orders.
Right. One last question. Janice, did I hear you say that reviews that are not verified purchaser do not count very heavily? She gave away products to friends and family via a coupon code, shipped the product, and these did not show up as verified. They came up as Amazon customers. Why?
Okay, I gave away a product to friends and family via coupon code, shipped the product, and those did not show up as verified. They came as an Amazon customer. Okay, so the way it works with a verified review and an unverified review is that Amazon has part of their algorithm. When there's a review, Amazon looks at how much was paid for the product. So if you gave the product away for a pound or $1, and the purchase price at full price was $20, Amazon will see that as a promotional review. Even 50% they'll see as a promotional review, and they will say that's unverified. So even though it was purchased as a product through Amazon with a coupon code, they still mark it as unverified. The reason it's come up as Amazon customer is that the reviewer hasn't changed their name in the Amazon system as a purchaser, and so it defaults to Amazon customer. So they would need to go in, and if you go in and change, if whoever's reviewed it goes in and changes their name or adds a name that they want to be known by, it does historically change the name across all their reviews.
Okay, there's another one here from Pete, which I'll take. Do you want to read out the question?
Is there any software out there which will run things and just give you stats on your reviews, i.e., how many total, how many 1-star, 2-star, etc.?
Yes, there is. So if you look at something like AMS Tracker, which isn't just designed for that process, it's designed for keyword research and for your rankings as well, and plus it's got a review club. So in there's still a little bit of work. I understand that you've got a lot of products to list, but you'll cut and paste either the URL or the ASIN, and you paste those into AMS Tracker. The only thing you may need to take in consideration is how many items that you can track. If you've got thousands of them, it could end up being quite a costly package. But I think there is another. I haven't fully looked into it yet. Let's just pull it up. There's a suite of tools that I got introduced to called Azon Seller Tools, and it's got a website that looks like AOL from 1998. But I haven't signed in myself. But there seems to be a lot of little tools that they've got that you can utilize for things like this. So go to azonsellertools.com and have a look there. Otherwise, I think you might be in a situation where it's going to be quite expensive. I think they do enterprise deals with someone like AMS Tracker. But yes, it will take a bit of time to feed all that information into the database.
Okay.
Are we done?
I think we're done for the Q&A.
Yeah. We've got a few more.
Martin's point is valid. As a customer, verified, unverified, absolutely right. People don't know and understand the difference.
Okay.
Right,
the other thing we need to wrap the polls up, and we've still got a few more slides to go through, haven't we? Just to finish off.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Right. So this is the last poll. Just getting the feel for what's your average monthly revenue on Amazon, if you're happy to put that up there. If you can go to the polls page and just pop in your numbers there, that'll give us a feel for where we're at. Thank you.
Okay, so there's another poll. Is it anonymous?
We just get figures out of it. It doesn't give us any names now.
Okay, so it's anonymous.
Yes.
We don't find out. And then the next poll is, can you add in your banking details? Okay, very briefly, the next meetups and webinars.
It doesn't matter what.
The next meetups and webinars coming up. On the 22nd and 23rd of August in the UK, we are invading Europe. Everything you need to know about trading in Germany, France, and if we can wake them, Spain and Italy, because they siesta quite a lot there. That's physically in London, 22nd, 23rd. I think we're almost full. I think we've got 1 or 2 more spots there. It's about, I don't know, 160, 170 people coming to those 2 events. On the 1st of September, we are having a mastermind mashup, which is like anything goes. And if I work the room hard enough, Phil buys me a beer, which is always nice. On the 20th of September, we are doing pay-per-click as an announced event. That is probably the most important meeting presentation we've done all year, and it's timed so that you can get your accounts and your campaigns in place in time for the 25th of November, which we all know is Black Friday. We are probably going to launch just like Elton John does this one's full, announce a new date. The pay-per-click on the 20th, I think it's got 2 or 3 spots left. And so we're going to announce a new date and load that up on the site in the next couple of days, which will be the 27th of September for a rerun of pay-per-click. We've got to hit a minimum number there to get the venue. And then on the 27th of October, we have got our USA meetup physically here, and that's also on pay-per-click. And we've got our first sponsor. We may actually have a sponsor coming in for the September one. But we've got our first sponsor there, which is Currencies Director joining us in the States to tell us all about cross-border trade and how to save money on our currency conversions. The next webinar, for those of you that have joined us from the States, daytime today, thank you. We are doing our next UK webinar 31st of August, same time frame on invading Europe, and we are running the same webinar again, but we're doing it on a time zone. It's actually a Saturday. We're doing it in a time zone so that it will line up with, I think, daytime in the US, but at a weekend, so hopefully more people can join us from the States rather than risk getting fired at their job if they haven't yet fired their boss. We publish all these dates on our Meetup groups, which I think is the next slide. There we go. So I did read ahead. So you can register with us if you are UK, Europe based, or based anywhere in the world. You can join the Amazon Seller group in the UK. It's on meetup.com. There's the URL. That's the Amazon Seller _UK. And all the presentations that we've given, many of which are valid for you anywhere in the world, are part of that group. But that's where we announce our physical UK meetups. Then you can also join the Amazon Seller SoCal, which is Southern California, for the POMs that don't know. And that is the Amazon Seller _SoCal. And once again, all our presentations that we give in America are published there. And we also announce our physical meetups on that group. Facebook.com/groups/Amsters is our Facebook group where we keep the conversation going. So if you've had a question asked tonight, you've got a supplementary question, you've got other questions you think of as you leave this webinar, post the questions there and we'll be happy to answer. There's a lot of people there that jump in. And then it's very much a soft launch, but the AmazonSeller.com went live last night. Thanks to Danny for his touch typing and his design skills, which we've seen in the earlier slides. But the content is really good that I wrote, and lots of ways to contact us there. You can click through to our meetup groups and all those sort of things. And it tells you a little bit more about our journey, what got us here, and there's an opportunity for our sponsors to contact us to get the up-to-date media pack so that they can pay us money so that we don't charge yourselves thousands of pounds or dollars to be in our company. So from Danny, from Richard and myself, we will say thank you. I'll leave them to say their own thank yous.
Thank you.
Let's get a hold of Danny and Anthony,
Thank you.
or Danny and myself even, and I'll just hand you over to the guys, but that's a thank you from me, and thanks for joining us.
Okay, so Richard, you want to share out the information on the slides now for the guys?
Yeah, so if you now go over to the, let me just check, we've got everything set up. Right, if you want to go over to the offers page, you should now be able to go and get hold of the slides from tonight's webinar available for you. So if you missed anything or you want to go back and just check out what was said, then you've got the replay itself, but this is a link that will take you directly to the slides.
Excellent. So I think that's it. Should we call it a wrap?
I think so.
Yep. Thank you guys for attending. We really appreciate your time and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Cheers guys, bye-bye.
Thanks guys.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.